Okay, so this video is different than all of my other videos because I don't know what to do with this information. So I'm reaching out to Spiritual Talk to see if anybody can help me. So I'll put a little bit of a backstory of the dream, but I'm trying to shorten it because normally when I have dreams, I wake up after about 10 or 20 minutes. This dream specifically, I looked at the time after I typed up everything, and I want to say the dream probably lasted for at least an hour. But the beginning part of the dream is basically, for interpretation wise, it's talking about not surrendering to the stress and trauma of life and the bad things in life and just going with the flow, if that makes sense. Specifically, the symbols in it were a lot of drug use around me, and at one point someone trying to drug me. And then there was a part where I was running away from something, which was that stress and drug use or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of people that were shooting. It looked like real guns, but they were water guns, and they were full of lemon juice. They said that it was noni juice, but they said that it felt and smelled like lemon juice, and it burned. And when you deal with lemons in dreams, that can be the bitter things in life, stress, negative experiences, whatever else. So now it comes to my actual dream. So eventually I find an area where I'm able to run, and I run. But I'm running down these really dark hallways, alleyways, whatever you want to call them. I can't see anything, but I guess instinctually I knew where to go. And I get to these two, what are they called? They're like tunnel systems, but you know how somebody has that book and they pull the book and it shows this tunnel or whatever? Well, there was one that was in a toilet, and there was another one that was in a shower. But the one after I went down the shower, it looked like I was having an acid trip, because there was faces that looked like they were actually clay, and I was freaking out. But as I was freaking out, I end up in this room, and it actually is kind of a cozy room. There's a fireplace, and there's only maybe 8 people in there. But I remember specifically, while I was trying to get there, I was trying to in my dream, in my perspective, I was trying to ignore all the dark, and I didn't want to deal with I was afraid of getting high because of the people constantly shooting things at me that I didn't know about, and getting drugged in the beginning. So I thought that the drugs had taken over. But I remember specifically I was singing Jericho by Aniko, and it was just the beginning part where it's I'm high, I'm from outer space, I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. Hold on, I gotta pause this. So eventually, also, I ended this on 444. I was in that room, and I was yelling because I thought that I had got caught by those people that were chasing me. But one of the people that was in the room was basically like, calm the fuck down, you're fine. And they like gave me something, I guess, to counteract all the like lemon juice that they were like shooting at me. And I was like, when I had finally calmed down, I was like, where am I? And like, what's going on? I will also put a note that I've had a really bad cough, but I think that that's because I'm trying to quit vaping, and I think that this is one of the big things that it's kind of like you can't keep doing that. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. For a very short second, they show me, it's almost like a roster, but it's like as if the stars are involved in this roster. And it's showing me like that it goes from like one tier to another tier, and then shows me like who I am in that aspect or whatever. And the name that I had confirmed when I woke up, and I was like, yeah, that's the right one, is the Pleiadians or something like that. But it was basically saying like there's the Pleiadians, and then there's like specific, for this there was like specific brigades or like warriors, and there was like they were all sent with like certain missions, and the brigade that I was a part of, there was only maybe like 15 people at the max, like 10 to 15 people. And so they go down the line, and they're like showing that if people come as a pair, their name starts with the same thing. And so I was like, okay, so who am I? Because they showed two different people. I really hope I can get this into one part, but I most likely am gonna have to go into a second part. So the name that they had named off for me was Lay, and then there's a specific guy that I'm waiting to come into my life, and I had asked about him as well. And that is the person that I was sent with, I guess. And his name also starts with Lay. But all of these warrior type, I have no idea what, alien beings, they all had blonde hair. Kind of reminded me of like Shrek, where the guy's like, yes, cherry flavored, want a kiss. But like they all had blonde hair, blue eyes, and they all had armor that was like blue, like different shades of blue and silver. And I remember at the very end of the dream, there was this symbol that showed up, and I tried drawing the symbol, but I really didn't do it justice. But I looked up the different symbols, and I remember like scrolling through them, and I just like kept scrolling through them, and I found one, and I was like, that is the one that I saw. And so I'll show you which one I saw. The only thing that I could remember was this part right here, and it was more like this, because I can remember this part right here. But when I looked up what that meant, or well, what it said in the caption of what that meant, it said activation code. I guess what my question is what does this mean? Like, if this is an activation of something, does anybody know what's to come? Or, I don't know, I'm not confused, because clearly, like, I've gotten the answers that I was looking for, but I don't really know what to do from here. So if anybody has any advice, or they've had similar experiences, or whatever else could, like, somebody message me because I'm confused.